I'd like to call a meeting to order, Jackson County Commission. I'd like to welcome everyone today. We'll start with a roll call. Mr. Manning?
Yes, sir. District 1, Mr. Guthrie.
Present.
District 2, Mr. Venable.
Present.
District 3, Mr. Guthrie.
Present.
District 4, Mr. Seals. Present. Chairman present.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Now we'll have the invocation. We ask Mr. John Porter.
God, our Father in heaven, we're blessed. We're blessed to live in this country, God. We are so thankful for our independence, for our freedoms that we have. We do pray that we'll never take them for granted, that we'll always defend those freedoms, the individual freedoms that we have and those that we have as a society. So, God, we pray you'll continue to watch over us. Bless us through this Independence Day. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Now, if you'll join Mr. Venable in pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing we have is approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next, we have public comment from citizens. We have none tonight. Next, we have the discussion item for the commission. First thing is discuss outsourcing Paint Rock Valley Park and 5 boat ramps for Jackson County Park. And we have Mr. Carl Barnes here to discuss this with us.
In y'all's package, you should have a letter that I fixed about how much it costs us for us to go to Paint Rock Valley and do the 5 boat ramp. If we got rid of them, we could get rid of our part-time person. Temporary person, instead of 6 months or longer in the summertime, we could just have them for 3 months. And that would cut back on labor, cut back on wear and tear over vehicles, lawnmowers, weed eaters, gas. It takes us around an hour to get down there because we're pulling a 21-foot trailer with 2 mowers and sometimes a gator, and 21-foot trailer. It takes about an hour to get there and an hour to get back and 2 hours to mow. So, most of the time it's down on the road. Road ramps. The only thing that they would get from us is that we could let them use the, you get about 8 or 9 bags of garbage from the boat ramps about every 2 weeks. So we could let them use our dumpsters to put it in. That's where it goes anyway. So I can't see anybody having a dumpster at their house in order to put their garbage. So that's the only thing that we would give them.
On this park over at Princeton, I talked with Carl about it. That's over in my area. And I just seen this on the agenda and talked to the guy that was on the park board. And he said, see if you can hold off on this right now. He said, because we just lost school, we sure don't want to be just stranded with the park. He said, basically, we hadn't had a whole lot offered to us. They would like to have a place kind of put in for a volleyball, not a volleyball, volleyball court. He said that way we could play volleyball, badminton, or whatever, and maybe horseshoes. And I told Carl, what they had told me. I said, right now, I'd like to hold up on it and see on the Princeton Park for sure. But,
Well, they're not wanting to stop doing it. He was just wanting to outsource it to somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I would have as it says on there, I would have if I go and look at it and they haven't done what they're supposed to do, then they gotta come back.
He was just letting outsource it, let somebody else do it, and we pay them.
doing it.
And in doing that, his estimation is $17,000 savings.
I mean, that's not, if they go down and do a bad job.
Well, I mean, the $17 savings would be what it's
Right.
costing us right now, but then we'd have to actually find the savings, we'd have to subtract what it costs us to contract it out, right?
But if we can't contract it out no cheaper than that, then we won't contract it out.
So basically, you're just gonna you'll wait and get bids and see.
Well, I'm saying, it's hard down there right now, we can't keep up with it, because, it's raining every day. And I've got people complaining at North End Mountain, I got people complaining everywhere, well, I need my grass mowed. Well, the cash cow is at Jackson County Park, and we've got to maintain it, and we've got to maintain all the rest of them too, so it's kinda hard.
Yeah.
But, what I got.
coming out.
I can't see where it would hurt to entertain bids on it, just to see where.
See what it's gonna cost us, yeah.
If there's no objection, we'll put this on the agenda for next meeting to obtain bids to see,
We gotta have, what is required for this, Carl?
This is what it requires. The only thing I like, that I didn't put in there, and I should have, was liability insurance and workers' comp.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do.
we can state that when the bids go out that they have to have that.
Right, and I can put it in this also if I need to.
Is there any more discussion concerning this? We'll move forward with it on the next commission meeting.
Like I say, we need to be clear on the boat ramps about picking up the trash would be part of the deal on that outsource. Correct? The trash, getting the trash at the boat ramps is part of the outsource that we won't do.
Yeah, the only thing we're gonna do is let them use our dumpsters to put the trash in.
It'll be all on the pole.
Now, no, it states in there, November, December, January, February, we'll take care of the trash as part. So that's just it's gonna be just a 9-month thing. Let's keep that in mind, when we get the bids back in. The only thing that has to be done is the trash at the boat ramps. And that's about every 2 or 3, maybe 3 weeks, so.
You got in mind of letting us out in one bid package then, you're not gonna split it out to the parts.
Well, I mean,
If we get bids, somebody just wants to do the part, they live over there close by or something, and just wants to do the part.
That would make sense, yeah. They might do it cheaper. Cause that's the one you said was so far out of the way, right?
yeah, takes us as long to get down there as it does to keep it up.
So we might need to do it, the boat ramps in one group and then the park in
Yeah, I
another.
mean, that would be
or
fine with me.
A combo.
I don't think it hurts
But
to bid
as
it
long
out that way,
but
because
as long as we
anybody.
don't, hit this mark here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt to bid it out that way, because you could always, somebody will bid on both. And if they're combined, it's cheaper than splitting it up, then we could split it up, but.
And the reason why I'm bringing it up right now, we got budgets coming up, and I think mine's the 12th, so I know we're not gonna have nothing on this done by then, but it's just something to think about. While we're doing the budget, I guess.
Well, okay, we're gonna bid this out separate, or we're gonna,
I would like to see it separated out like that.
One other question on this maintenance. What does this require? Now, I know grass mowing is in the summertime, on these motor ramps and stuff. Now, what is the deal in the wintertime?
Winter time is just picking up trash.
Just trash?
That's all we're gonna do.
But he's
Well,
just
that would
saying,
still be part of their contract?
No, this is just for 9 months.
Just 9 months?
Right, December, January, February, we're gonna go pick the trash up. Starting March 1st, they're gonna have to start it. And mow, and weed eat, spray.
That's what I want to understand here.
So it's just a 9-month contract.
Yeah.
As much as it's been raining, I can see where y'all definitely have difficulty keeping up. There's a lot of grass at the park, and then you get, one end of the county to the other.
We got 77 acres at the park, we got 8 acres down at Princeton, we got 10 acres up at North Sand Mountain, and then we got 5 boat ramps. And then plus we gotta take care of everything else at the park, electrical, plumbing, whatever. And it puts a strain on it.
okay, is everybody okay with splitting this bid up? Doing the boat ramps in one bid and then the mowing in another bid? If the
yes.
same person wants to bid on both of them, they can, that way. Okay, I'll put this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Okay, next, number 2 item is discuss specifications for heating and air conditioning system for the Jackson County Courthouse. And Mr. Duffy, I believe this is your expertise.
We're just gonna take the,
Specifications.
Yeah, we got the specifications and put it out there and, see what kind of numbers we get to come back. But right now, we ain't got no idea what it's gonna cost, so we'll just put it out there and see how many bids we get back on it.
Just for information, we probably have enough money in capital improvement fund to take care of this. Any more discussion concerning this? Well, if there's no objection, I'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Number 3, discuss appointment to the EDA board. You'll notice in your packet that we have several people here that is asked to be considered for this. We have 6. I ask that y'all study these over, and then if there's no discussion on this, we'll put it on the agenda for the next commission meeting. We'll move on to number 4. Discuss appointment for the Cumberland Mountain Water and Fire Protection Board. You'll also have that in your packet. And we have 2 on it. The same, you look them over, and if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. And then you'll also see in your packet, number 5, discuss 2 appointments to the Jackson County E911 Board. And I believe we have 3 for that. There's 2 positions on there. So if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. We'll move on to number 6, discuss bids for the base, concrete pavement, and shoulders for county roads 107, 33, 137, and 261. And I believe Mr. Campbell handed out some information concerning this, and you'll have a bid form. Mr. Campbell, you want to give us sort of an update on it?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. So, just as a review, sometime back, this commission approved moving forward with 7 material tax project in the form of this concrete pavement in locations throughout the county where there was severe roadway damage, particularly in areas where we're experiencing heavy truck traffic, moving a lot of material in and out of these places of business. So, a plan set was developed and bids were solicited, and the bid packets were opened this morning. And so those 3 bid tabs, we did have 3 bidders. Those bid tabs are included in your packets. In our estimate, we were about $330,000 was our estimate back when we submitted this concept for approval, just to give you some kind of baseline on the bids. I wanted to provide these tabs just so you could see, have some comparative data on, where these prices came in, even on a unit item place. So, all the bids, I guess you could say, were in the bracket. The apparent low bidder is at the lower end of our anticipation dollar amounts, and there was some concern about unit items within that bid as compared to the other data. So we had a conversation with this bidder to make sure to have confirmation before presenting this to you all. And there was, in complete disclosure, they did admit that there was a mistake on one of the line items on their bid. In particular, the crushed ag base course, that $650 is per ton. And that was a mistake that was misinterpreted as square yard. Most of the items with ALDOT are a square yard unit price when it comes to that line item because it's specified on a thickness layer. However, due to this application with a large excavation, the fact that it's going over large aggregate riprap and the voids are there, we wanted to give everybody a fair shake, and the best way to do that was pay tonnage. So that's pretty cut and dry when you're receiving tickets from the loads delivered. So that's why it was done that way, but it was their admittance that there was an error on that part. After analyzing it further and discussions with us, they wanted to hold their bid. They said they felt like it was a good number, there was still profit in it for them, and they were still interested in moving forward. So I sent written correspondence notifying them that if they did not want to move forward, since there was an error in their bid, to notify us in writing within 3 working days from the date that we open, to disclaim the error and provide evidence of why it was an error, and then it would be obviously up to you guys whether to accept the withdrawal. So the last word we had is they are interested in moving forward and want to be considered and they are the apparent low bidder. So I wanted to present this information in case there are any questions about that or the scope of work. I have the plans with me, have the bid documents that we sent out. It was all advertised in accordance with the bid law. So I have those documents with me if there are any questions between now or next week if we decide to move forward. Also, in your package, I've passed out a cash balance sheet of the funds. And Savary Material Tax Fund is 119, so you can see that cash balance that's in the account that we would be looking to fund this project with.
So you're saying the payment for this project come out of 119?
Yes, sir.
It looks like the balance on 119 will be sufficient enough for the low bid.
Yes, sir. Are there any questions about anything in what I've said or the bid tabs that you have?
You just got the 3 bids,
Yes, sir.
3 qualified bids.
First one we're looking at there, John, are they figuring on the same thing right here on the unclassified excavation?
Well, I went back to our estimate, and that was close to our estimate. Obviously, the other bidders are a lot higher, but you know, it's all over the place. You got the highest bidder, and then the other guy's half of that, and then the one you're looking at's half of that. So they were close. We had estimated about $10. We had $20 a cubic yard, so they're not too terribly far off that. That was the question. When you start looking at some of those items, particularly the aggregate items and that unclassified excavation, there's a drastic difference between them. So
The geo fabric, huge difference in that, 90 cents versus $3.20.
Even combs right there, you know, that one right there is $5 a comb different.
the aggregate was a concern. You know, we can't even buy the material for, you know, that's about our purchase price for just the material. So had a feeling that there was something there. But, you know, if you look at the low bidder and the next lowest bidder, there's not a terribly large amount of difference there. And our estimate at 330 is not too far off that low bidder. So that's what led us to the conversation, just to, you know, want to confirm it. And I think they mulled it over and they're still good with moving forward.
Any more discussion?
And the 3 projects that we're gonna do with this,
Actually be 4.
4,
They will be
33,
107, 137, and 261.
Tall route, isn't it?
107, 37.
Yeah, so 107 is in front of the quarry, the area there. 33, same thing. 137 is concrete plant and a rental facility, also serves right in front of that area. And then 261 is a log yard.
Yeah, that's the one I couldn't remember.
If there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Number 7, we'll discuss the purchase of 2 sanitation trucks. And Darrell,
Yes,
let you take it from here.
thank you, Mr. Asher. I'd like to request the purchase of 2 2019 Mack automatic garbage trucks. The trucks that we will be replacing with these are 2015s, and we typically replace them about every 3 to 4 years, usually 3, but we push these out 4 years. They've done pretty good for us. There's an estimated value of approximately what they would bring if we resold those, but I would like to, I'm gathering some more information for those trucks, and I'd like to get back in another work session and discuss that a little bit farther on those. With that being said, we purchased a couple of trucks in 2017, and we still have 2 payments
that we've got to make on those. And the amount is listed there below that. One this month here, and then the other ones pay off in 2019. The replacement trucks that we're going to be purchasing, and you can see the cost right there in the fourth line down. There'll be two of them at $278,000 each, for a total of $556,000. And then our cash balance is below that. And I think what I'd like to do, and Bob has discussed it a little bit, probably go ahead and leave those two payments as is, pay them off, one this year and one next year, but go ahead and consider purchasing these other two trucks from our cash balance.
Any more discussion?
These two that you're talking about, the 15s, are there all, I'm reading this right? Yes, sir. That's what you said you're gonna have some more information. Yep. That's 130,000 each.
130,000 each would be an approximate price that would bring if we surplus them. I've got something else I'm working on, and I'd like to present that to y'all. One, I think what I would like to do with one of them is keep it and get rid of some of my older stuff that I've got. I got a 2008 auto car that's really old and wore out that we have to drive a lot. It's ready to go. And then I have a 2012 Mack with a blown engine. Placed it on Gov Deal once before. It didn't bring no money at all. With that being said, I've got a company that's interested in doing some trading on the trucks that I'm fixing to be purchasing. And I'd like to talk to y'all about doing that in the future. With one of the other trucks, well, the second truck, I've been talking to another gentleman about taking and selling the bed off of it and putting a roll-off bed on it and convert it into a roll-off truck. Should cost us at that point, if we do that in the future, around $50,000-$60,000, and that would give us a second roll-off truck for in case if our first one goes down, tears up, or we get into a bind. But I need to gather the rest of that information on that project first and discuss it later. If we choose not to go with that, then we'll put these two trucks up here for sale, and we'll come close to the range of $130,000 apiece, which would put money back into our funds.
So you'd like to move forward with the purchase of the truck?
Purchasing two trucks right now.
Wait till the next work session to talk about disposal of these other trucks.
Yes, whether we're gonna surplus them or do something different with them.
Right. Any more discussion concerning this? Okay, if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the purchase of the two new trucks. And then we will make note that we will discuss the disposal of the used trucks at the next work session. Next, we have discussed school safety advisory board guidelines. And I believe you'll find this in the packet, and this was, we just got that this afternoon. I don't know if you've had time to look at it or have had time to look at it, but I want to bring it out there for you to look at. Now, Mr. Venable, what would be the course of action to take with this now?
Mr.
We'd have to.
Will tell us more about that than I could.
We'd have to, when time is right, we'll have to adopt this
Yes, sir.
in a resolution.
Right, there would be a resolution that the commission would adopt, setting up the fund, so Mr. Manning can set up the special fund within his records. And we give the notice to whoever we're gonna give the notice to, and adopt these guidelines, and then we'll get the advisory board appointed so that they can begin to do their work as funds are available.
Would we need to, or I haven't got a chance to read over this, but and it may already be in there, the fund, do we need to name the fund number or anything in the resolution? Or,
I have named it the school safety fund, but you can name it whatever you want to.
I mean, like Yeah, we can change
Oh,
the
no.
number.
Oh, yeah, Bob would
Yeah.
assign a number to it.
One time when it's open.
Yeah, whatever.
Do you want to move forward with this, or you want to go to another work session?
We can move forward with it
That's fine.
next weekend and give everybody a week to read over this, and if there's any adjustments, we can table it at that time, but I would like to move.
That way you can have it done for the August billing.
Okay. So if there's no objection, I'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Next, number 9, I'd like to discuss revising the flood damage prevention ordinance, the floodplain, and the floodplain administrator position. Basically, what this is, currently, the floodplain management is done in the emergency management office, and the director is the floodplain manager. We would like to move that from the EMA office to make this a responsibility of the chief mapper. And we do have a flood ordinance that spells it out this way, that it is the requirement of emergency management to do that. And the reason being is that there's just new technology that's out there that the chief mapper has and is able to use good. And nowhere else in the courthouse has the capability that they have. And also, the chief mapper is involved with ADECA, who is the go-to agency for anything with the flooding within the state. There's an application process and a certificate that is given to people whose property is not in the flood zone. And that's also, in this office, it has to do with people that are in the flood zone that can apply for a LOMA that would get them out of the flood zone. And currently, FEMA is right now remapping the Gunnersville watershed. So for us to stay in compliance, we've got to do a little bit better job in getting some of this stuff done. And I'm asking you to consider moving this and revising the flood damage prevention ordinance to have this under the control of the chief mapper.
It makes more sense to me, to be, I mean,
Someone that has the technology to pull it up.
well, I mean, in building houses, I mean, I have contact with the mapping department.
Right.
A lot more than I would the EMA
Right,
department,
right.
you know, and it's just,
Well, when I was with EMA, I did this for 7 years, and ADECA's website is a lot better than it used to be, but you can go down here to the chief mapper and give them an address, and in a matter of minutes, you're looking at something that used to take me 20. Of course, he's got new technology and it's moving forward.
Got the ability to do it and put it all back in compliance.
Right. And there's millions of dollars worth of flood insurance out there, and we certainly don't want to go in non-compliance with it. Now, I've got a question, Mr. Porter, concerning this, since this is an ordinance, what does it amount to change the wording in the ordinance?
I need to look at the exact language. It may be just an amendment to an existing ordinance
Okay.
rather than readoption. Hopefully it'll be just an amendment rather than readoption, because if it's readopted, then you gotta publish the thing. And the publication cost will be extensive.
I mean, that's the ordinance itself. If there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting with stipulation of Mr. Porter's findings on that. Next, we have reports from the staff. Rocky? Darrell?
No, sir.
Bob?
Nothing, thank you.
Jonathan?
Yes, sir. So, if I may, thank you, sir. I handed out a document that you should find in your packets. It was maybe laid on top, but those are the results from the County Road 42 Federal Aid Resurfacing Project that let this past Friday. There were two bidders, very close in final amounts that were bid, so I assume there won't be any hesitation in awarding this. And then just on the sticky that was on that page, you can see our engineering staff's estimates and how they compared to the final bids. Our estimate, that amount listed is what the engineering department estimated, that's Miss Manning and her staff. And then below is the funding agreement. So that is the agreement that AlDOT set the agreement at, which dictated our match amount. So hopefully, if things go as planned, we should get a substantial rebate if all that goes well. But I just wanted to tip our hats to Miss Manning and her staff for being within 3% of the estimate. That's really good. And good close numbers, so feel good about those. That is all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Carl, you have anything?
Pavilions done, people love it. If you cut down the tree, there's one hanging out.
Ms. Porter, you have anything? I don't have anything tonight. So with this is all we have on today's agenda, so that I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
So,
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Meeting adjourned.